Hey everyone, my name's Steven from Fenzik Studios. I'm an artist and designer. I've spent the last decade working, mostly freelance, making logos, websites, various design materials for small businesses. Fenzik Studios is my business name essentially, and that's what my social media handles are. A couple months ago, I think it must have been late August 2025, I decided to start making the game that I always wanted to make, with essentially zero previous experience making games, and I document the process. I've had this YouTube channel sitting here gathering dust for a while now, and I had a little bit of code sitting there from a previous project, so I figured I might as well make use of them. To be honest, I say zero previous experience making games, but that isn't entirely true. I've made a couple attempts in the past, but they've never really gone far. I also made a little guitar learning application using GameMaker as a way to learn how to code. That app is available to use for free on guitarperkiss.com, so go check it out and tell me what you think. Just be prepared for a fair amount of jank. I've also been an artist my whole life, and I have my degree in studio art, so I'm not starting totally from square one, but I've never made a game before, and I've never worked in the game industry. So anyway, for the past couple months, I've been working on a 2D platformer game. I've been working as a solo dev, making all the art and doing all the coding by myself. It's now December 3rd, 2025, as of recording this video. There's a blizzard outside, I'm stuck inside, so I figured there isn't a better time to talk a little bit about this game I've been making. Over the course of this video, I'm going to show some of the design documents I've been working on, as well as some concept art and some in-game footage from the game as it currently exists in its infancy. I'll be talking about what my goals are for the game, I'll be talking about what I'd like the gameplay to be, as well as some of the story, and anything else I feel like talking about along the way. I want this game to be a community effort, so I'll be asking a bunch of questions throughout the video, and I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. I would love to hear everything you have to say, and I really take everything into consideration. As a new game developer, your feedback is extremely useful to me. Before I get started, I have to say, if you like this content and you want to follow me along my game development journey, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so to start off with, I made this little infographic I'm calling the pillars of my game. This is helping me distill exactly what this project is going to be. It has to be simple. It's my very first game, so it's got to be simple. These first two pillars, world, story, and art style, are going to be where my skill set shines through. The first pillar of my game is the world and story. I want it to be open with a sense of exploration and side quests and things to do in the world, a place that you can just exist in with diverse environments and really cool, interesting NPCs. Eventually, I'm going to have a lot of cool lore I've been slowly working on. I don't want to give it away, but I think it's going to end up being a really cool world, and the world itself is going to be one of the main selling points of the game. So for the art and style, I want it to be hand-drawn, it's going to be weird, and I'm going to put a lot of animation using Spine. Here's a couple of screenshots that I'll refer back to throughout the whole video. I think these screenshots give a pretty good idea of what the game will look like. Pillar number 3 is Metroidvania. I think this is going to be crucial to what the game actually is, and it's going to contribute to the open world aspect of the game, the semi-open world with side quests. The key thing about Metroidvanias is their power-based progression, and I'm also going to include some quest-based progression as well. Hopefully to simplify things, because I'm not that great at coding. The final pillar of the game is going to be essentially the gameplay, which I'm calling the RPG pillar. It's going to consist of light action. Hopefully I can do weapons and armor. I'm not entirely sure if I can pull that off. I know it's possible with Spine, my animation program I'm working on, but can I pull it off? And is the work amount just going to be insane? I'm not sure. I definitely want there to be some sort of block and parry. I love those types of mechanics in games. I'm sure everybody else does. Some types of spells and magic would be awesome. And then obviously the RPG elements of tracking numbers. And if I can work out the weapon system, having the ability to swap weapons and get more powerful versions of weapons, I think that would be really awesome. So those are the pillars of my game: world, story, art style, Metroidvania, and RPG. For this part of the video, I'm going to spend a little bit of time going over this document I call minimum work to finish the demo. And it's a list of must-haves, at least things that I think I must have, and things that I would think are nice to have. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this after I give my spiel. So for the must-have side of it, I would love to have 3 initial zones: forest, cave, and grass. I think they're varied and they give me the opportunity to show off multiple races, give a little bit of the story, and plenty of places to do questing and cool NPCs where you can track the quests, and perhaps some filler quests where you got to kill boars or things like that, which is actually pretty fun. It's big enough where I could do a map for the character, could get a map, and we could start a fast travel system, which I've got some initial ideas on that, which I think would be really cool and not too difficult to code, I would think, just based on what I know currently. For minimum mechanics in the demo, I think I need to get to the attack and block and parry system. That's important. There has to obviously be damage and the beginning of an RPG system. You got to be able to die. That's obviously important. I think a power-up or 2 would be pretty cool, like a double jump that you could find along the way, and that would be a main mechanic of the game, so that would be really helpful to have done. And then obviously the main menus, the pause menus, start menus, some options, bare minimum stuff, I'm thinking. But those are must-haves for the demo. Nice-to-haves are an extra zone, the castle with the town. I've already got some really fun ideas for quests and things for that part of the game. So if I can get to it, that would be awesome. And if I can start doing some cutscenes, I'll probably have to do 1 or 2, just bare minimum to set up the story, but I think those will be a lot of fun eventually. So the more the better. If I can start doing weapons and armor, as well as the leveling, and that would just be fantastic. I don't know. I can't commit to that yet. I don't know if it's going to be crazy, but it could balloon the amount of animations I do and just the whole complexity of the project. If I start with a simple attack, block, parry system, that's one thing, but as soon as I add weapons and armor and leveling, it just becomes crazy. So I would love to do that, but we'll see on that. Okay, so for this part of the video, I'm going to talk about the main story beats of the game. I'm still figuring everything out, so bear with me. So the main character of the game is currently named Theo. That might change, but I had a character in a previous project who was also named Theo, and I stupidly put all the code for the player character with the name Theo, so now I guess every character that I ever make will probably be named Theo from this point on. So Theo in this game is an adult, but he's still young. He's the member of a small nomadic village, sort of caravan people who travel around, and they've been posted up in this magical overgrown forest for, I want to say, most of Theo's life. So Theo doesn't know that much. His people are very knowledgeable and they have lots of stories, but he himself doesn't have knowledge of the outside of world. So he gets to experience the world with the players to a degree. He knows some, but he doesn't know a lot. He's very naive, but capable. So you start out in the forest, like I was just saying, that he grew up in with his best friend, who is one of the natives of the forest, which is an ascetic tribe of sort of cat monks, feline monks. And they all live there in the forest, so it just so happens that Theo's best friend is one of these feline monks. And the game starts out where they discover, him and his best friend discover, Theo and his best friend discover goblins have arrived in the forest. And I don't know if goblins are something that they didn't even know existed, or perhaps they haven't seen them in many years. They're not supposed to be in that forest, and they're terrorizing things and burning things down and killing things and all that kind of stuff. The first thing is that everybody's wondering why there's goblins in the forest. So the elders of the village send Theo on the mission to go figure out why. So he goes to the Windy Castle. They're reluctant to send him on this mission, but it's their only option. So they send him to the Windy Castle, which is the city closest to them outside of the forest, to get some answers, perhaps get some help. So that's the initial premise of the game, is The goblins arrive in the forest, they terrorize everything, and then the elders send him on a quest for information and help. Over the course of this game, Theo's going to travel across the entire world of Pleroma. He's going to start in the forest, then he's going to go to the grassy, windy castle area with the first large city. Then he'll go into the mountains where he meets the Viking people, and they're fighting dragons, and there's a whole sub-story that I'm working on there. From there, he will have to travel through the desert and end up in the second major city, which is dealing with a goblin problem themselves and getting overrun. From there, he's going to go into a tropical location, which I have some cool ideas for. And then ultimately, there is going to be a goblin city where he travels to the top of a spire where the main antagonist is, which he will defeat. And, it's a typical fantasy story. So without giving away too much, those are the main beats of the story. And I'm still working on a lot of things. A lot of things are subject to change. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I want to keep it generic, but I also want to do my take on fantasy tropes. I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Are standard fantasy tropes good or bad? One area of the game that I'd really love to get some help on is the name of the game. I have a few ideas here, which I could cycle through a couple of these drawings I've done, and I'd love to hear in the comments what people have to say. So I started out, I mentioned that the main character's name is currently Theo, so I started kind of generic with Theo's quest, and that basically sums up what it is. Theo's going on a quest, but it's definitely generic. There's nothing going on there. From there, I went to, I'm in the story, I'm going to have a thing with 2 different towers in this dreamland and stuff like that I had these ideas. So something's going to revolve around a tower. So I came up with the idea Twilight Towers. Little did I know there's already a game called Twilight Towers. So I guess that's out, which is unfortunate because I thought that was a cool name and a cool logo here. But, oh well. So from there I went to, some synonyms like Astral Spire, Twilight Tower, Astral Spire. But honestly, I just don't really like, it doesn't ring in the same way. I don't really like it as much. So from there I was thinking of the world itself. I was calling Pleroma, which is like a Gnostic term. So I thought maybe a name would be something like Legends of Pleroma or something like that. I don't know. Tell me what you think of that one. I also had the name of Dream Towers. I mentioned this theme with the story that revolves around like 2 towers. I know that's a little bit of a ripoff of the 2 towers, obviously, but it has nothing to do with those 2 towers, and it's totally different and hopefully unique enough. So I don't know. Here's the logo for that one. I thought it turned out kind of cool. It sort of shows a little bit about what the story is going to be about without showing it. Mysterious. I would love to hear what you think. Is this cool or is it too derivative of Tolkien? I don't know. Let me know. That's pretty much all I've got for names right now. Still a work in progress, but yeah, I don't know. I need a name for these videos. I definitely need a name for the videos so I don't always call it every video is my indie game. Eventually, it's got to be the name of the game, so I have to figure out what that's going to be. Well, alright, that's going to do it for this video. If you've made it this long to the very end, I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Leave a comment telling me you made it to the end. I'd love to hear it. And I would love to hear what you think of all my ramblings. It's an unscripted video. It's my very first long-form video, so I really appreciate you listening to the whole thing. And yeah, let's go on this journey and make a game together. And yeah, I don't know. Fuck. That's it for now. I'll see you in the next one.